I don't know what pulled me onto that highway that night, but once the CB radio crackled with that voice, there was no turning back. Breaker, breaker. Anyone out there on the I-90 heading west? The static rasped with desperation. A man's voice, low, trembling, and off, like he was holding back a scream. I grabbed the mic, curious but cautious. This is Big Rig 214. Who's calling? Silence. The kind that stretches and makes the hair on your arms stand up. Then it came back. You shouldn't be out here tonight, driver. She's hunting. Now, I've been driving trucks for almost 20 years. I've heard my fair share of crazies over the radio, from lonely drifters to pranksters bored out of their minds. But this? Something in that voice chilled me to the bone. Who's hunting? I asked, trying to keep it light. The wheel felt heavy in my hands, and my headlights cut through the ink-black night ahead. Another pause. She doesn't care what you're hauling, or where you're headed. Just don't stop. Whatever you do, keep driving. The radio went dead. I laughed nervously, shook my head. Someone's idea of a joke. I glanced at the load I was hauling, just standard freight, nothing out of the ordinary. The stretch of road was empty except for my rig and a lone set of taillights about a mile ahead. Then the temperature in the cab plummeted. My breath fogged up the windshield, and the engine began to sputter, coughing like it had caught a cold. The truck groaned, fighting against some unseen force. I slammed my foot on the accelerator, but the rig slowed to a crawl. And then I saw her. She stood in the middle of the highway, bathed in my high beams. A woman in a tattered white dress, her hair long and tangled, sticking to her pale face. She didn't move, didn't flinch as my 18-wheeler barreled toward her. Jesus! I yanked the wheel, tires screeching as the truck swerved to avoid her. It jackknifed, the trailer swinging wildly behind me, and I wrestled to regain control. The rig came to a shuddering stop in the breakdown lane, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. When I looked back, she was gone. I grabbed the flashlight from the glove box and stepped out into the cold night air. The highway was eerily silent. No wind, no crickets, just the hum of my engine cooling down. Hello! My voice echoed, thin and weak. Then I heard it, a low, guttural growl from under the truck. The growl was wrong. Not an engine misfire, not an animal sound. It was deep and wet, like something breathing through a throat too clogged to function. My instincts screamed to get back in the cab, lock the doors, and hit the gas, but my legs didn't agree. They kept me rooted to the spot as I shone the flashlight under the rig. At first, all I saw were shadows. The undercarriage, a few stray oil drips. Then movement. Quick, skittering, and low to the ground. The beam caught it, no, her. She was crouched on all fours, peering out from under the truck. Her face, twisted into something almost human, but not quite. The pale skin was stretched too tight over her skull. Her eyes glinted like dull marbles, and her mouth twisted into a grin that exposed blackened, jagged teeth. I stumbled back, the flashlight trembling in my hand. What the? Before I could finish the thought, she lunged. She moved impossibly fast, a blur of tattered white and clawed hands. Her nails, more like talons, raked across my boots as I scrambled back. I tripped over the edge of the shoulder and fell flat on my back, gasping as the flashlight rolled from my grip. She stopped at the edge of the beam's light, crouched low like a predator. Her head twitched in jerky, unnatural movements, studying me, her grin growing wider. "You should have kept driving," she hissed, her voice like glass scraping metal. I kicked blindly, my boots catching gravel and dirt. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. A prank? A nightmare? No, she was real. Too real. Without thinking, I grabbed a wrench from the roadside kit strapped to the frame and swung it toward her. She shrieked. A sound so high-pitched and inhuman it made my ears ring, and recoiled into the shadows. I scrambled to my feet, clutching the wrench like a lifeline. The flashlight flickered, and for a moment, the highway was plunged into darkness. When the light returned, she was gone. I spun in a circle, panting, the cold gnawing at my skin. Nothing. The highway stretched out empty and endless, the air heavy with the stench of rot. My truck loomed behind me, its headlights flickering like a dying pulse. "Get in?" I muttered to myself, legs shaking as I stumbled back toward the cab. "Get in and go." I climbed into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and locked it. My hands fumbled for the key, turning it until the engine roared back to life. The dashboard lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the cab. I shifted into gear, my eyes darting to the rearview mirrors, scanning for any sign of her. The truck lurched forward, tires crunching against the asphalt. And then the CB radio crackled to life again. "She's in the trailer," the voice said, barely a whisper. I froze. My heart was hammering so loud it drowned out the engine's growl. The trailer? No, impossible. I had locked the freight doors before I left the yard. No one could have gotten in, no one should have been able to get in. But the voice on the radio was back, and it was cold and certain. "She's in the trailer. Don't stop, driver. Don't you dare stop." The rearview mirror caught my eye, and for the first time in my life, I wished it wouldn't. The trailer's doors were swaying, just barely, the heavy metal locks clinking together, like something was moving inside. I slammed my foot on the gas. The truck surged forward, the trailer groaning under the sudden acceleration. My hands were white-knuckled on the wheel as the road blurred past, mile markers flashing in the corner of my vision. "You can't outrun her," the voice crackled again. "But you can't stop either. Keep moving." "What the hell do you mean?" I shouted into the cab, my voice cracking with panic. "Who are you? What the hell is going on?" No answer. The CB went silent, and that silence was worse than any scream. The trailer banged again, louder this time. The entire rig shuddered as if something massive had thrown itself against the walls. My mind raced. Was she trying to get out? Or was she trying to get in? I checked the mirrors again. Mistake. In the reflection, I saw her face pressed against the small window on the rear door of the trailer. Her pale, stretched skin, her grin wider than it had any right to be, and her eyes, those empty, soulless eyes locked onto mine. She was laughing. I couldn't hear it, but I could see it in the way her body shook, her mouth open too wide, her teeth bared in jagged rows. I swerved. The truck rocked violently, tires screeching as I fought to keep it on the road. The laughter in the mirror didn't stop. She slammed herself against the doors again, harder this time. The locks strained, and I could see them begin to bend. I had to do something. I couldn't let her get into the cab. If she did, the voice crackled back to life on the CB. "The bridge. You're coming up on the bridge. It's your only chance." "What bridge?" I screamed, sweat pouring down my face. The air inside the cab felt suffocating, thick with her presence. "Throw the trailer," the voice commanded. "Dump it, or she'll take you too." My stomach dropped. The trailer wasn't just a hunk of metal. It was my livelihood, my reputation. But as I glanced in the mirror again and saw her grin widen, saw her clawed hands pounding harder against the doors, I knew I didn't have a choice. The bridge loomed ahead, its steel arches cutting through the night sky. The icy waters of the river below reflected the moonlight like shattered glass. I gritted my teeth, reaching for the emergency release lever that would detach the trailer from the cab. "Sorry, boss," I muttered, yanking the lever with all my strength. The trailer unhitched with a deafening clang, the massive weight lurching free. It careened down the road behind me, sparks flying as it veered toward the guardrail. I watched in the mirror as it hit the edge, teetered, and then toppled over. The trailer plummeted into the river below, vanishing into the dark waters. The sound of the crash echoed, and then silence. I pulled over a mile down the road, shaking so badly I could barely park the rig. The CB radio buzzed to life one last time. "You did good, driver," the voice said. "But don't stop again tonight. Keep moving." I never got an answer about who or what had been in that trailer. I don't even know who the hell was on the other end of that radio. But I kept driving until the sun came up, every bump in the road making me jump, every shadow on the horizon keeping my hands tight on the wheel. To this day, I avoid the I-90 at night, and I never, ever haul a load without double-checking the trailer locks. You might think it's a ghost story, or some kind of hallucination brought on by too much caffeine and not enough sleep. Maybe. But I'll tell you this much. If you ever hear someone on the CB radio warning you to keep driving, you'd better listen. Because whatever's out there, it's real. And it's hunting.